so loved the world, that he gave
that
his
he
only
gave his
Son,
only begotten
that
Son,
whosoever
that
believeth in
believeth in
him
him
should
should
not
not
perish,
perish,
but have
but have
everlasting life.
everlasting life.
What's up, peoples, and please sub peoples. Today I read Psalm 19 and it really just spoke to me. I'm only going to read a few things that really stuck out to me today, and I hope it touches your heart. So, verse 1 just stuck out to me. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. So the heavens is talking about space. It's talking about all the stars and all the galaxies. Just think about it. Like, man, that's just awesome. Just think about like how big the sun is compared to the earth, and how big like another star named Betelgeuse is compared to the sun. Like, and Jupiter is just so gigantic, and without Jupiter, the Earth would take a whole bunch of unnecessary asteroids, meteors, whatever you want to call them. But Jupiter, it just takes all of them, and it keeps the Earth in like the Goldilocks zone. It helps keep the Earth there, and then like all the stars in the universe as well, all those galaxies and stuff, and countless planets. And you just look up into the sky. Make sure you don't have light pollution, but you just look up into the sky and you're just like amazed. It's just wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And God, to create all of that, to create the heavens and the earth, the skies, that's just, it's just by far amazing. I can't describe to you how amazing it is. It's an experience that you would just have to experience yourself, and I will leave it as that. But that just wowed me. When I was going to Oxford University, I was a part of Keeble's rowing team, and every morning I had to wake up around 5 a.m. to make sure I had a decent snack in the morning, and I will walk to Port Meadows, and that's where we used to row. But it's just this huge flat land with trees and stuff, and there are some horses there. But in the morning, it'll be super dark, no lights at all. And when I'm walking through Oxford, I just look up into the stars and I see Orion's belt and like countless other stars just lighting up the night sky. And I couldn't wait to look forward to next practice, because I could look forward to seeing the stars. And then I'm on a water in the boat, and then I see the sunrise coming up behind really, really old buildings older than America. I see all these different colors coming up, overshadowing the moon, the sun just like taking over and providing light everywhere. And then you see the mist coming up off the river. You see ducks quacking along. It was just a really peaceful scene. And just to think, like, God made that sunrise. God made the stars. God made those little ducks. Like, oh man, it's so awesome. Again, it's just an experience that you will have to do for yourself. Then verses 7, 8, and 9, they stick out to me because they highlighted the perfection of God and his word. So I'm going to read that to you. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing in the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. How amazing is that? That's true. Every word right there is true. And if you are a Christian and you've experienced the love of God and you understand who the Lord is and you're getting to know him along your walk with him, you understand that everything in the Bible, all of his laws are necessary for mankind, because without them, we will be going astray, but it keeps us in line. They're perfect, and they convert us from death to life. The testimony of the Lord is sure. Just think about the Bible. Like, the whole Bible points to Jesus. All of history, everything that ever occurred points to Jesus. His testimony is sure. It's 100% perfect. It's on the dot. It's for sure. You can't make that stuff up. It happened. There's evidence for it. You cannot deny it. It's complete truth. And then it said, making wise the simple. Like, we as people can't understand everything that ever happened in history. We don't even understand our own minds. How can we even comprehend the mind of the Lord? So everything that ever happened, all the things that point to Jesus, we can't know all that. So it makes the wise very, very simple. The statutes of the Lord are right. Just think about it. God tells us not to commit any sexual immorality. Let's just take one, because that's very, very vague. Sex before marriage. God tells us not to have sex before marriage. That's one of his statutes. Why does he do that? Because if we do have sex before marriage, then it destroys our souls. It makes our spirit like unclean. It ruins our relationship with other people. It's playing the cards that the devil has in his hands. So, and it will lead to a lot of unnecessary pain and unnecessary suffering. So, not having sex before marriage leads to a better commitment with a husband and a wife. It leads to a stronger bond between the family if they decide to have kids. More trust, more loyalty. It lasts for a really, really long time. It creates more joy. It creates more love between them. They're satisfied with one another. They can trust one another, as in, this person had the discipline to wait before marriage, and now I get to have all of this person. And the other person is saying the same thing about that person. So if one person leaves, let's just say, to go to Mexico for a month for a missionary trip, they don't have to worry about their husband or their wife at home potentially cheating or committing adultery, because they held themselves off for all those years to stay pure, just to be in marriage. That's what God tells us, not to have sex before marriage. That is extremely complicated, and I didn't do justice to what is all the wrong that could go wrong with having sex before marriage. But that's just a little thing that God tells us to do. But his statutes are right. They protect us from evil things, and we have to obey them. And when we obey them, we rejoice in our heart. We're like, man, I'm glad I waited because I am in love with this person. And our relationship would go stronger because I waited to have sex, or I waited to not, how can I say this? I waited to have sex until I got married. There you go. I'm not married yet, but I'm waiting to have sex until I get married. And when I do get married, I'm going to rejoice in my heart because my relationship will grow much stronger. And it does the same thing with other sins as well. Wow, I'm glad I haven't lied to that person. Now I'm free from all the lies that I have to keep up. I'm glad I didn't kill that person. I'm glad I didn't act on my temptations. It's just like all of that. Like, his statutes are right, and when we do them, we have joy. We have joy in our hearts. And then the commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. So that just goes back to what I was saying. If we don't commit certain sins, if we don't commit all the sins, it will help us to understand the weight of not committing those sins or committing those sins. It will help us to see, man, if I had committed that sin, it would have led to my destruction in these types of ways, such as pornography, for instance. If someone says, hey, I'm so happy I didn't act on my temptation to watch pornography, because if I did watch pornography, that could have led into an addiction to porn, which could have led into me being married and then me not being satisfied with my wife, which could have led me to our marriage breaking up and then us divorcing, and then the kids have to live with one parent, and then the kids don't have two parents in the household to raise them, and then their lives are going to be terrible because I decided to watch pornography. I'm glad I didn't do that. It enlightens you. It reveals to you all the ways that evil can destroy a person. So it's pure, it's completely clean, and it gives us understanding. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. So the fear of the Lord is basically obeying God's commandments. Not fear as in like you're scared, but you respect what God is doing and you trust him. It's kind of like a parent. You trust the parent to love you, to discipline you, to make sure that nothing goes wrong with you, to feed you, to protect you, like a father to a child. That's how we should look at the fear of the Lord. The child isn't like scared of the father, but the child is like, I know I'm going to eat tonight because my father is with me, or I know I can sleep peacefully tonight because my father is with me. It's certain things like that. So like that's the type of relationship we should have with God. And then enduring forever, this endures forever. Our relationship with God is forever. And the more that we fear him, the more that we respect him, the more that we obey him, the more that we trust him, the less load we will have to take, the less worry, the less anxiety we will have on this earth. And then when we get to heaven, we will experience the purest form of peace, love, joy, and abundance of spiritual gifts. And just being in God's presence is going to be absolutely amazing, beyond anything I can ever describe. So it's much more than that. I just let you experience it for yourself and let God explain it to you. But it lasts forever. So fear God. And then the last part, the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. That is a verse that's really, really, really hard to understand if you don't know what the word judgment is, if you don't know what truth is, if you don't know what righteous is, and how all of that fits together for what the Lord is doing. So I'm going to try my best to explain it to you really, really quickly. So if you haven't watched my judgment video, go watch it. It will explain a lot to you about judgment. But essentially, judging is basically coming to a conclusion about something. So as of now, I am coming to a conclusion that if I look at the camera, it's like I'm looking at you. But if I look at the screen, I'm not looking at you at all. So I came to a conclusion to look at the camera because it makes it more personal, right? That's a bad example, but oh man, we judge all the time. I came to a conclusion about making this video. I came to a conclusion about stopping at the stoplight instead of running it. I came to a conclusion about waking up at 4 a.m. to go to work. those are judgments. Those are decisions that we make all the time. So we judge all the time. But what is the judgment that God is talking about here? He's talking about the judgment of your soul. He's talking about the judgment of your spirit, the judgment of your life, the things that he say to you. So if he's like, and which he has said many times, listen, if you believe in me, you will inherit eternal life. That is a judgment. And then he says, if you don't believe, then you will basically spend eternity in hell. That is true. True is objective. It does not change for anything. Righteous, meaning it is acceptable, it is right, it is correct, it is good. And all of that works all together. So the judgment of God, whatever that judgment may be, it may be, look, you did wrong here. That's a judgment. Or look, you're going to spend eternity in heaven with me, or you're going to hell. You can't blame him because he's completely just in doing so. Because what he said is true and righteous. So you could think about this verse. Again, I can't explain all of it because you'll be sitting here forever. I'm already like 16 minutes in. So just think about this. Imagine you're in a courtroom and there's a judge. That judge is God. And whatever decision God comes to, you know it's right. You know that you deserved it. Whether it's good or whether it's bad. You know God's decision was perfectly just. So just that even the person on the receiving end has to accept, like, he's right. He's right. So that's just an example of understanding this verse. If you want to do a deep dive, look at my other videos. I go much into what judgment is, what is truth. I didn't do a video on righteousness, but judgment and truth, I did videos on those. So go check those out and then come back to this video if you want to understand this verse, or just go to your Bible and read it yourself. It's Psalm 19 verse 9. But I love you all, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like this video, share, just spread the gospel. That's all I really want to do. And I want people to live in truth. I want people to live in Jesus, in the way of Jesus, in the life that Jesus wants you to have. I want that for you because I know how much freedom that would give a person. Freedom from evil, freedom from death. I want to see you in heaven. So please share the gospel with people and live according to God's ways. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.